Imagine waking up tomorrow to a world at war. An unthinkable reality, right? But what if this was World War III, the war to end all wars? The mere mention of it sends chills down the spine, doesn't it? It's a concept wrapped in fear, uncertainty, and the haunting images of past global conflicts. The possibility of such a catastrophic event forces us to confront our deepest fears. This is not an attempt to scare, but to prepare and understand. So how could World War III begin? World War III, if it were to occur, could be triggered by various catalysts. Among these, political tensions stand at the forefront. Consider for a moment the precarious balance of power on the global stage. Nations, in their quest for dominance, often lock horns, resulting in strained relations. These tensions can escalate, leading to conflicts that might trigger a global war. Let's shift our gaze to territorial disputes. History is replete with instances of wars fought over land. From the ancient times to the modern era, territorial disputes have been a common cause of wars. And in this age of dwindling resources and growing populations, the race for land could very well become a flashpoint for World War III. Economic crises, too, have a role to play. An economically unstable world is a fertile ground for conflicts. When nations struggle economically, they often resort to aggressive means to secure their interests. Such scenarios have, in the past, led to world wars. And in a world still grappling with economic uncertainty, this is a catalyst we cannot ignore. Lastly, we have cyber warfare, a relatively new but potent catalyst. As our world becomes more and more digitized, conflicts have found a new battlefield, the cyber realm. Nations can cripple each other's infrastructure without firing a single bullet. The potential for a cyber-triggered global conflict, therefore, is a reality we must acknowledge. These catalysts, if not managed carefully, could lead us down a path of destruction. Each of these scenarios presents a real and present danger. And while we hope that World War III remains a hypothetical scenario, it is crucial to understand these catalysts and work towards preventing them. For it is only through understanding that we can hope to prevent a catastrophe. The power to shape our future lies in our hands. We must strive to make it a future of peace, not of war. World power dynamics play a crucial role in any potential conflict. They are the invisible strings that pull the marionettes on the world stage, dictating the rhythm and movement of nations. In the context of a hypothetical World War III, these dynamics would undoubtedly be a significant factor. Picture the world as a chessboard, with nations as the pieces. Each move, each decision, is part of a complex interplay of power. The kings and queens of this game are the global superpowers, nations like the United States, China, and Russia. Their decisions, their alliances, their rivalries, all have the potential to ripple across this board and stir the waters of conflict. Consider the alliances. NATO, for instance, is a pact of mutual defense among several North American and European countries. A threat to one is a threat to all, a principle that could easily escalate a regional skirmish into a global conflict. The same can be said for other alliances and treaties around the globe, from the European Union's Mutual Defense Clause to the Collective Security Treaty Organization in Eurasia. Then there's the role of international politics. The United Nations, for instance, strives to maintain peace and prevent large-scale conflict. But what if its efforts are undermined or circumvented? Or what if a superpower decides to disregard international law, knowing that their military might can deter any punitive action? These are the kind of scenarios that could thrust the world into a state of war. Economic factors also come into play. Global trade ties nations together, creating a web of mutual dependence. But it also creates vulnerabilities. Trade wars or economic sanctions could escalate into military conflict if they push a nation to the brink. The balance of power is a delicate dance. A misstep, a stumble, could upset the equilibrium and send the dancers crashing into each other. The balance of power is delicate, and any shift could potentially lead to conflict. In the 21st century, the threats of war have evolved beyond traditional warfare. No longer are conflicts solely fought on land, sea, or air with guns and bombs. Today, the battlegrounds have expanded into the realms of technology, biology, and economics. These new forms of warfare, though invisible to the naked eye, pose a significant threat to global security and peace. Let's start with cyber warfare. Consider for a moment the immense reliance of our modern societies on digital systems. From our power grids to our financial institutions, everything is interconnected. But imagine if these systems were compromised. A well-coordinated cyber attack could plunge a nation into darkness, cripple its economy, and sow chaos within minutes. This digital battleground is as real and dangerous as any war zone. Next, we have biological warfare. The potential for a deadly virus to be weaponized and used as a tool of war is a terrifying prospect. We've all seen the devastating impact a pandemic can have on societies worldwide, even without the sinister intent of warfare. A biological weapon, released intentionally, could have catastrophic consequences, taking countless lives and creating global panic. Lastly, economic warfare. This form of conflict involves using economic means to destabilize a country. It could involve imposing crippling sanctions, manipulating currencies, or disrupting trade. The impacts of economic warfare are slow and silent but can devastate a nation's infrastructure, leading to social unrest and potentially armed conflict. These unseen threats are not the stuff of science fiction. They are real, present dangers that our world faces today. Unlike traditional warfare, they don't respect borders, and they can strike without warning. While these threats may not involve the physical destruction we associate with war, their impacts can be just as devastating, if not more so. The world must acknowledge and prepare for these new forms of warfare. These unseen threats are as real as any, and their potential to incite a world war cannot be underestimated. And if World War III were to occur, what would the aftermath look like? Let's delve into the possible global impacts, starting with the most immediate and heart-wrenching, the loss of life. Given the advancements in weaponry since the last World War, the death toll would likely be staggering, potentially reaching into the hundreds of millions. Cities would be reduced to rubble, and entire nations could be wiped off the map. The survivors would find themselves in a world unrecognizable from the one they once knew. Next, consider the economic destruction. The global economy, as we know it, would almost certainly collapse. Trade routes would be destroyed, currencies would become worthless, and the world's stock markets would likely crumble. A post-World War III economy would be a shadow of its former self, with surviving nations struggling to rebuild amidst the ruins. Then, there's the environmental impact. The use of nuclear weapons would result in nuclear winter, a period of severe cold and darkness caused by atmospheric dust blocking sunlight. This would lead to crop failures and famine on a global scale. The world's biodiversity would suffer dramatically, and many species, perhaps even including our own, could face extinction. Finally, we must consider societal collapse. The fabric of society would be torn apart, with the norms and institutions we rely on in our daily lives disappearing overnight. In their place, a new world order would have to emerge from the ashes, one shaped by the harsh realities of post-war survival. In short, the aftermath of World War III would be a landscape of devastation and despair. It would be a world defined by loss, scarcity, and the struggle for survival. The human spirit would be tested like never before, with the future of civilization itself hanging in the balance. The aftermath of World War III, as we can imagine, would be nothing short of catastrophic. World War III is a horrifying thought, but it's important to understand the potential triggers and implications. We've journeyed through the catalysts, the shifting power dynamics, the unseen threats, and the potential aftermath. To summarize, the sparks of this hypothetical conflict could be multifaceted, ranging from geopolitical tensions to resource scarcity. We've explored the evolving power dynamics that could shape the battlefield, the rise and fall of nations, the shifting alliances, and the struggle for dominance in this globally interconnected world could all play pivotal roles. Then, we delved into the unseen threats, the cyber warfare, artificial intelligence, and the dark underbelly of technological advancement. These new age weapons have the potential to revolutionize warfare, making the battlefields not just physical but digital too. We also painted a dire picture of the aftermath, the potential devastation, the human cost, the societal collapse, and the long road to recovery. It's a grim reminder of the true cost of war, far beyond any strategic or political gains. While we hope World War III remains a concept of fiction, understanding it can help us work towards preventing it. We must remember the complexities of our world require diplomatic solutions, not destructive ones. After all, the best way to win a war is to avoid it altogether.